They are very creative and they're very loud. These are some of the parrots that I've been talking about, and I just saw them the other day in the tree right next to my apartment. Let's create! What we need is some branches, and if you don't have branches, you can use any type of stick that you can find. You could use old pencils, old brushes, or chopsticks. We're going to create a loom, and first we're going to make the frame for our loom by tying 4 branches together, tight and snug. Make sure you really do a good tying job in each corner where the 2 branches are connected. You may need help doing this, so don't be shy to ask your parents or sibling to help you, because sometimes it's easier if someone can help you hold one side while you're tying. And after you're done making the frame, you need to have strong yarn, and you're going to wrap it around your frame. I am almost done, and I am happy with how I tied it. It's pretty sturdy. So it's almost time to start weaving. So this is the basic loom that I just created. It's made from twigs and branches from a tree in my garden. Now, if you don't have that, you could use old pencils or some old color pencils, anything that's sturdy, some type of stick. You need 4 of them, and then you need to tie them together here, here, and down here and here. And after you tie them together and you have a frame, you're going to wrap yarn around the frame, and from sideways you will have 2 layers, 2 rows. It's a very thin actually branch, and it used to have leaves on it, and I took off the leaves, and I'm going to use this in my loom. I'm going to use a lot of different materials and weave it over under these little strands of yarn. Any type of yarn works. Make sure you test the yarn before you start tying, because you don't want a weak yarn, then the whole thing might collapse. So strong yarn, and not too thick. Over, and then I'm going to go under the next 2. Then I'm going to go over, under, over those 2. Okay. Then under which 2? This is my loom and my loom frame, and I started adding twigs and branches inside, weaving them over, under. And then I found recycled materials in the recycling bin, and I cut it up in long strips, and now I'm going to use that in my loom and see how it ends up looking. So I'm mixing some natural materials with some of the recycled materials that I have in my recycling bin at home. Now be mindful where you find these branches. If you can't find anything in your own garden, you can't just go out there and pick branches from, random trees. So you have to be creative about it. Maybe you have some old pencils you can use instead, or some old chopsticks. But we want to be mindful when we use materials from nature so that we don't take too much. But we are going to end up using everything, so it's not going to be a waste, and it's going to look beautiful. When you weave your materials into your loom, make sure that you have a pattern, which is over, under, 1 row, and then the next row needs to be the opposite. So if you started over, under, you need to start under the 2 strings in the second row, and then you keep on going back and forth. So each row next to each other will never be the same. They will be opposite. And you keep on adding materials until you reach the end. And you'll end up with something like this. Beautiful. I'm really excited about it. I'm gonna hang it up in my tree.